Hello friends, welcome to Java Solutions Guide. In this tutorial, I will explain you how we can connect to an EC2 instance from Windows using SSH and using Putty. So here I have already launched an EC2 instance, as you can see here. The instance state is running. And if you don't know how to launch an EC2 instance, please go through my previous video where I have explained in detail how to launch an EC2 instance. If you already know the steps to launch an EC2 instance, please continue with this video. Okay, so to start with, there are some prerequisites before we connect to an EC2 instance. Let's go through that quickly. So these are the prerequisites. So first one is verify that the instance is ready. So before you start connecting to your EC2 instance, you should make sure that your instance is ready for connection. So how do you make sure that your instance is ready? So you need to see here in the status checks that it is showing as a green. Or also you can go to status checks, and here you can see that the system reachability check passed for the system status checks and instance reachability check passed for instance status checks. So both of these checks should have passed. So what does it mean to system status checks to be passed? It means that the underlying infrastructure uh, on which your EC2 instance is running, that is working fine. So there is no problem with respect to that. So if there is no problem, this will be you can find this system reachability check passed. And what is instance status checks? This means that operating system of your EC2 instance is ready to accept the traffic and it's working fine and it can accept the traffic. So in that case you will see instance reachability check passed. So then when both of these will be passed, it will show here a green tick. So make sure that this is green before you start connecting. Actually, when you launch an EC2 instance, it takes some time, around 1 or 2 minutes, or maybe up to 2-3 minutes, to connect to your EC2, boot. So during that time, you will see here initializing under the status checks, and here also you will see under both the system status checks and instance status checks, it will show initializing. So once it has your EC2 instances has passed these checks, then it will show here green tick. Okay, so moving ahead to the next point. So make sure you know where to find the public IP address or DNS of your EC2 instance. So for connecting to an EC2 instance, you need its IP address or DNS name. So where to find that DNS name or IP address? You need to go to description. So you need to first select your EC2 instance, and then you need to go to description, and then here you will find public DNS, and here just under that you will find the uh, public IP of your EC2 instance. Next one is make sure you know the default username which you will use to connect to your instance. So while connecting to your EC2 instance, you will need a user using which you will connect to your EC2 instance using SSH. And with each AMI, you will have a you can have a different kind of user which allows SSH connection. So because in this example we are using Amazon Linux EMI, and for that the user which allows SSH traffic is EC2 user. So for connecting to our EC2 instance, we will use EC2 user. And for the list of other users, you can have a look over this link. Here I have provided this link, so you can look into it. Here you can find the different users for different AMIs with different operating systems. And next one is make sure you know the location of .pem file. So .pem file is a private key file which you will need to connect to your EC2 instance. When you launch your EC2 instance and when you save the key pair, so it will save the public key in your EC2 instance under the .ssh folder in the authorized keys file, and your private key you need to save on your system. So when you try to connect to your EC2 instance, you need to provide your private key. So because of that, you should know the location where you have saved your .pem file. Next one is make sure that the inbound SSH traffic from your IP address to your instance is enabled. So you need to make sure that your EC2 instance allows traffic from your IP address. Otherwise, it will not work. So let us check if that rule is there. So for that, how the EC2 instance will allow the traffic. So EC2 instance, we need to assign a security group. So here, as you can see, while launching this instance, we already assigned the security group, and this is the security group, and launch wizard at 12, and then I need to click on the security group ID, and here you can see the inbound rules and outbound rules under that security group. So here you can see this inbound rule says that allow SSH traffic from anywhere on the internet on port 22. So which means that your EC2 instance, which has this security group under which this rule is there, and because this EC2 instance has got this security group assigned to it, so it will allow SSH traffic to it from anywhere on the internet. In the ideal scenario, you can restrict it to the your IP address if you want to be more strict, and for security reason, that is a good way to proceed actually, but for the demo purpose I have kept it to default. So let's go back to our instances, and let us see the next prerequisite. So the next one is make sure that you have given correct permissions to .pem file. So your .pem file must have a 400 permission, which means that only you, the owner of the file, should have a read permission. No one else on your system, no other user on your system should have access to .pem file. This is for the security reasons, and if you don't comply with this rule, and your file doesn't have the correct permission, so and if you try to connect to your EC2 instance using .pem file with incorrect permissions, you will get private key not found. So make sure that your .pem file has the correct permissions. So in my previous video, I have already explained how to change the permissions. So I'll not explain in this video. So please have a look in that video if you are not sure how to change the permissions. So here the file that I have, this my EC2 Key here. Here this file already have the correct permissions. So I basically need to go to properties, security, and then as you can see here, so only I have access to this file, and I have read-only access, so no other user has access to this file. Okay, so moving ahead to the next prerequisite, make sure you have installed Putty successfully on your Windows machine. So because in this tutorial we are going to connect to EC2 instance using Putty, so you should definitely have Putty installed on your machine. So if you don't have Putty installed already, so you need to you can just go to Google, and then you say Putty free download, and then you go to putty.org, and here you can download here, and then you can download the 32-bit or 64-bit installer as per your machine configuration, or if you're on Unix, you can download this one. And in my system I have, because already installed Putty, so I just go to my search bar, and then I say Putty, and it will open Putty. And Putty also comes with another tool, which is a Putty keygen. So that is also required. So that will also be installed once you install Putty. So what we are going to do now? So we are going to connect to EC2 instance, and using Putty. And now the thing is, when you try to connect to a server using or a machine, or say here in this case EC2 instance using Putty, so Putty accepts the file, uh, this your private key file in the specific format, which is a .ppk format. So the file, as you remember, that we saved during the launch time, that was in the .pem format, but Putty will accept the file in the .ppk format. So we have to make sure that we convert that .pem file to .ppk format. So we already have the .pem file here. So we need to convert it into .ppk file because that is the format which Putty understand. So for that, what we'll do, we'll go to Putty gen, and this is the Putty gen, and then I need to say load, and also make sure that type of key to generate, you say it RSA, because that is the algorithm that EC2 uses for the keys. You can see also here, they have mentioned on the AWS website, the keys that Amazon EC2 uses are 2048-bit SSH to RSA keys. So I'll provide this link also in the description. So choose RSA and then go to load, and then I think I need to choose all files, and then choose your .pem file, say open. Successfully imported. To use this key with Putty, you need to use the save private key command. To save it in Putty is on format. So say OK, and you should say save private file. Are you sure you want to save this key without a passphrase? Passphrase you can add if you want some extra security, but I'm not going ahead with that, so I'll say no. Let's try again. It should. Are you sure you want to save this key without a password to protect it? Oh, sorry, I should say yes because yeah. So I said yes, and then I should say give the exactly same name. So whatever name is here, I should give the exactly same name, and with the .ppk extension. I think it will add on itself, or okay, let's add it and save it, and let's close it. So now as you can see, this file is saved here, and if you go and go to the properties and check the type of file, this is a .ppk file. So now for connecting to EC2 instance, we need to go to Putty and click on it, and then you need to give the host name. So host name, how you will give, you need to give it like EC2 user @ your DNS or IP address of your EC2 instance. So where to find that, we already discussed that it can be found here. So you just copy it and paste it here, and make sure the port is 22 because that is the port where SSH connection is allowed, and make sure the connection type is SSH, and this is by default is coming this window. So but you need to make sure that you are on the session part on in the category, and then you can save it also because you might need to connect later also, so you can give it some name and save this session. So I'll just give a EC2 connection, and I'll say uh, okay. So before saving it, there is one more thing. Basically, we already converted the PEM file to PPK file, so we need to use that also. So I'll go to SSH, then I'll go to auth, and I need to browse to my PPK file, and then choose that. And now I can go back to session, and I'll say save. So this will save my connection, and I'll say open. And because this is the first time I'm connecting to my EC2 instance, so it is saying that the server's host key is not cached in the registry. You have no guarantee that the server is the computer you think it is. So basically it is saying that do you trust the machine we are connecting to. So I say yes, and now we are connected to the EC2 instance, and yeah, so we can check if it's working. I can do sudo yum update. So yeah, we are able to work on this machine. So I think that is all I wanted to show you in this tutorial. If you have any questions, please feel free to put those in the comment section. I'll try to reply, and if you like the video, please hit the like button and subscribe the channel for more such videos. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next tutorial.